So you're aiming for that distinction in O-level social studies, right? Well, you know as well as I do that Section B, that's the make or break section. Those structured response questions can be tough. But today, we're going to crack the code. This is your masterclass on how to nail every single one of those marks. Let's get right into it.
And listen, what we're talking about today, this isn't just some random advice or a bunch of guessing games. No, these strategies come straight from the source. We're looking at what the actual examiners from CSEB and Cambridge want to see. We're basically getting the playbook directly from them so you know exactly how to score.
So yeah, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do you actually get full marks on those big 7- and 8-mark questions? They can feel super intimidating. You've studied the textbook, you know the facts, but how do you put it all together in a way that gets you to the top level? That's the puzzle we are solving today.
Okay, here's our game plan. We'll start by decoding the SRQ. Then, I'll give you the PEEI success formula. We'll put it to the test with 2 real case studies, one on CMIO and another on diversity. Then we'll cover the art of weighing to hit those full marks, and we'll wrap up with your exam takeaway. Let's do it.
First things first, before you can win any game, you've got to know the rules, right? It's the same with exams. So let's pull back the curtain and figure out what are the examiners really looking for when they write these questions.
You know the paper has 2 main parts. We're zeroing in on Section B because it holds 15 absolutely crucial marks. Think about it. That's 2 compulsory questions that can make a massive difference to your final grade. Mastering this section is, well, it's not optional if you're aiming high.
And here it is. This is the secret key. It's all about something called Assessment Objective 3, or AO3. This means you can't just dump a bunch of facts on the page and hope for the best. Nope. The examiners want to see you build a real, solid argument and come to a smart, well-thought-out conclusion. Honestly, this one skill is what separates a B from an A.
Okay, so the big question is, how do you actually show the examiners you've mastered AO3? Well, you don't just wing it, you use a framework. And we've got one for you that's super powerful. We call it the PEEI success formula. Think of it as your blueprint for building a perfect, high-scoring paragraph every single time. The best part is, this formula is really easy to remember. It's just 4 steps. First, you make your point. Then, you back it up with a solid example. Next, you explain exactly how that example proves your point. And finally, and this is the part a lot of people miss, you talk about the bigger impact. Let's see how this works in a real question.
All right, let's get our hands dirty with our first case study. We're going to take a real 7-mark question about the whole CMIO categorization thing in Singapore. You've probably studied this under Living in a Diverse Society. It's a classic. So here's the question. The first thing you should always do is break it down. Look for the key words. It asks for impacts, plural. That's your first clue. You need at least 2. And then it says explain. That tells you a simple list won't cut it. To get to the top of the marks, you need 2 properly developed points. Okay, time to put PEEI into action. Let's build a top-tier paragraph for this question, step by step. Just watch how neatly all the pieces lock into place. See how that works? It's so clean. Your point is crystal clear. CMIO protects minority rights. Your example isn't vague, it's specific, the GRC scheme. The explanation connects the two, saying how it protects them. And then, boom, the impact shows the big picture result for Singaporean society. That's a rock-solid paragraph. Full stop. Now remember, the question wanted 2 impacts. So what do you do for your second paragraph? Well, you've got options. You could give another positive impact, maybe talk about the ethnic integration policy and how it encourages mixing. Or, to show you're thinking critically, you could bring up a negative impact, like how it might be confusing for people of mixed heritage. Either way, as long as you use the PEI structure, you're on the right track for full marks. Okay, you've mastered the 7-marker. Ready to level up? Let's talk about the 8-mark question. This one is a little different. It asks for everything we just did, but with one extra super important skill. This is what really separates the good students from the great ones. Okay, look very, very closely at the phrasing. See that? Greater than? That is a huge signal flare. The examiner isn't just asking you to list the pros and cons. They are forcing you to make a choice, to make a judgment call. This means you have to compare the 2 sides and decide which one is, well, greater. You have to weigh them. So your approach starts the same. You build your first argument using our trusty PEEI formula. Let's take the positive side first, cultural exchange. You make your point. It deepens understanding. You give a great example, like the ASEAN Youth Fellowship. Then you explain the impact, social harmony. Do that and you've already locked in the marks for one half of the question.
Now, you just repeat the process for the other side of the argument. You lay out the negative impacts of prejudice. Your point, it causes social friction. Your example, a recent, relevant event like the Orchard Road incident. Your impact, disharmony and conflict. Once you've done this, you've presented both sides really well. You're probably sitting comfortably at a 6 out of 8, maybe even a 7.
So you're at 7 marks. You've explained both sides perfectly, but how do you get that last final point to hit a perfect 8 out of 8? This, my friends, is the secret sauce. It's what we call the art of weighing. And weighing is more than just saying, I think this one is more important. No way. You have to make a judgment and then you have to justify it. You have to explain why one impact is bigger than the other. Is it because it affects more people? Or maybe its effects last longer? Is it more significant for the country as a whole? You need to give a solid reason for your final verdict.
And check this out. This is what a top-level weighing statement looks like, taken straight from an official marking scheme. See the logic? It's not just a feeling. It argues that cultural exchange is greater because it's a widespread majority experience in Singapore, while prejudice, though serious, often comes from isolated incidents. That comparison of scale, that right there is what effective weighing is all about.
All right, let's bring it all home. We're going to boil everything we've talked about down into one simple, powerful strategy that you can carry with you right into that exam.
Here's your checklist. It's this simple. For every single paragraph, use PEEI. Point, example, explanation, impact. Got it? And for those 8-mark questions, when you see words like greater than or more significant, you know you need to add one final paragraph at the end to weigh the two sides. That's it. That is the formula for getting full marks.
So there it is. You now have the exact framework that the A-star students are using. The formula is all yours. So the only real question left is, how are you going to use it to get that distinction you're working for? Get to practicing, and all the best.